Hello everyone, I'm Nick from nextstepnick.com and today we're going to talk about Conglomerate 451. So, full disclosure, I received a code from the developer for this game. Really interesting title actually, I was interested to see how it played, and it's not the kind of thing I'd normally review. Reason being is that this kind of puts me off. So you can see the combat here, you can't see your players, you've just got the images at the bottom, your three characters. Your agents, they are in this, they're your agents, and you're like their director, you're the director of this agency. And then the enemies will appear in front of you as you explore these areas, and you can use different abilities. It's like a turn-based game. Think games like Final Fantasy, Lost Odyssey. To be honest, to an extent, a little bit of XCOM in regard to the actual style of the game and the abilities you can use. But what you're basically doing is working your way through these metropolitan areas that are these futuristic, kind of stereotypical sci-fi areas. Really well designed sci-fi areas actually, but we'll get back to that. As you take out gangsters from these conglomerates that have taken over, they're basically big gangs. We call them conglomerates in the game, but they're basically big gangs that have taken over areas and kind of subjugated the areas that they're in. But you're going through, killing them or taking them out, whilst also looking to find things, so like you might have to assassinate a target or find an obstacle or capture a certain item, and you're making your way through, taking people out as you go, and you can kind of do a bit of exploration to an extent. Like, it's quite a big city and you have like a map that you can work your way through, but the combat here, like you can see, is turn-based. So you've got 3 agents all the time. You can make more, so there is this whole element, like I say, of the XCOM thing of like you can level your agents up and your favourites can end up being quite strong and you can name them yourself and sort of grow them with you, but it is quite basic. The combat itself can be quite interesting, and it does have the room to grow. I mean, this game, like I say, is in a very early sort of development phase. It's not finished by any stretch of the imagination yet, but I like what's going on so far, and the combat has got that room to grow. So you'll see a boss fight here, very early boss fight at the start of the game, and you can see the combat is a bit more complicated in that we've got a turn-based timer on the left-hand side where there's this bomb that's going to go off. There is a little thing about that, but I'm not going to spoil that for you. And what you've got to do is juggle your abilities in regard to taking down someone's shield. So you can see the blue bar above that guy's head is his shield, and then the red is his actual health. And so you've got that idea of juggling things. You can hack people as well at later levels. You can balance things like your battery, which can basically keeps your shield up, stuff like that. So it's interesting in that regard. And I really, really like the art style. I mean, just the loading screens in general, to be honest, display this really lovely art style. And then when you actually go into the game itself, the environments look fantastic. They really capture this sci-fi future dystopia idea of these cities, you know, these back streets and alleyways in futuristic London and New York, and these darkened Detroit kind of areas in Japan and China. It looks great, and I love those neon colours. That's one of my own personal things, but I really love the look of this world. The thing I would say about this world that I would critique a little bit at the moment is that there's not a lot of information about what's around us. You'll see a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of objects that you think, oh, I'd like to learn more here. I'd like to use this as an opportunity to learn more about the world. Maybe read some computer screens, maybe examine some technology, but you don't get that yet. So maybe that's something we can expand on in future. I'd love to see that expanded on, but we'll see how that goes. In regard to the XCOM elements, there's also this idea of base building to an extent. So what you're doing is you're making your agency, and you have like research trees and cloning centres and different things like that where you can control how your agency shapes up. So for example, you can put your tech and your credits into specific research techs so you can unlock the way you want your agents to fight. There's a lot of different classes, for example. There's a lot of different abilities, different actions, different weapons and equipment that they can get. But that's all up to you to research down that path and find the ones that work for you and how you want to comprise your team. So I like the fact that there's a real dynamic element here. There's a lot of movement in regard to how you want to play. Again, I'd like to see it expanded on a bit more. I'd like to see a bit more in regard to actual customization of the characters, because at the moment they all tend to be kind of bald in this one outfit. I mean, that's pretty much it. You can change the colour around their display image, but that's about it in regard to customization. And I know they're not on the screen, I know they're not front and centre, but with all this effort we're putting into managing the agency, I'd like to see that same amount of effort just put into a little bit of editing in regard to the characters, just a little bit of growth there. In regard to how the game works, you also pick missions in a very XCOM similar way, where you've got like a world map and you pick which corporations you kind of want to strike against and how you want to liberate certain areas. It's very Crackdown-esque as well, actually. It reminds me a lot of Crackdown in that way that you go to certain areas and you slowly help to make a conglomerate lose their control, and I like that. I think it works really nicely. There's a lot of little mini games as well, so there's interesting ways to like get through doors and hack objects and stuff like that. I feel like they sometimes get a little bit complicated, and there are a few issues where I think, you know, less is more. So this is quite a simple one where you're just matching up the shapes, but you're going to see another one in a minute, which is literally picking out specific words to find specific root words in massive sort of branches of what they call code, and it's interesting and it's fun, but at the same time I feel like it does break things up a little bit and make the game go a little bit slow at points. That being said, I like the fact that it's different than what I've seen. To be honest, I really liked the second puzzle more than the first because it was very different and it generally had me thinking and worrying, especially when that time is coming up and we're getting scanned and I might get caught, and I really like that. The other thing I'd say as well is I had a really good time with this. It was one of those games where I played it for about 10 minutes and thought, oh yeah, this is okay. But then I ended up playing for about an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in a sitting and thought, well, they're doing something right here because I'm really invested, really involved with this and was getting really interested. The thing that kept pulling me out though was that the translations are a little bit sketchy at times. So you've got a robot with you can see in the top left. Every now and then a box will appear where there's talking, but in the top left there's a little robot icon. She will talk to you from time to time. It's not a great translation. She's got a very robotic voice, which means a lot of her jokes and things like that fall flat. There's one specific one which is literally along the lines of, would you like praise for that battle? Fine, here is praise for that battle. And it's literally that, but it doesn't translate well because it's not. I can see what you're trying to do and it's quite a funny joke, but I would say always get this kind of stuff proofread by someone who's native in the language. Only reason being is just you'll avoid little pitfalls like that, and it will just help to keep that immersion going and keep the game getting people invested rather than jerking them out. But other than that, I really enjoyed what I played. So that's Conglomerate 451. I'm looking forward to seeing how that progresses in the future as well. But anyway, thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. I've been Next Step Nick. Please don't forget to head over to nextstepnick.com for all the latest news, reviews and articles. And don't forget as well to like, subscribe and share this video. Other than that, thank you very much, and I'll catch you again very soon.